Get your ghetto ass out of my first class. Flight attendant Jessica Martinez's words sliced through the cabin. She grabbed the young black woman's designer bag and hurled it toward the aisle. Louis Vuitton leather hit the floor with a sickening thud. Then Jessica did the unthinkable. Her palm cracked against the woman's cheek. "That's for thinking you belong here." The passenger sat frozen, hand pressed to her reddening face. Around them, phones lifted like weapons. 12 screens captured everything. Someone whispered, "This is going viral." The woman in seat 2A didn't scream, didn't cry, didn't fight back. She simply reached for her laptop. What Jessica Martinez didn't know was that she'd just slapped her own boss. And in exactly 10 minutes, she'd lose everything. Have you ever watched someone destroy themselves with a single devastating mistake? 2 minutes earlier, Doctor. Amara Williams had boarded this private jet like any other Tuesday. Jeans, hoodie, sneakers, hoodie, no makeup, hair in a simple bun. She looked like a graduate student, not a Fortune 500 CEO. That was her first mistake. Jessica Martinez had been working this Miami to New York route for 3 years. She knew wealth when she saw it. Designer suits, Rolex watches, entitled attitudes. This girl in 2A, wrong zip code, wrong clothes, wrong everything. "Excuse me, sweetie." Jessica's voice dripped fake concern. "Can I see your boarding pass again?" Amara looked up from her laptop. "I already showed it to you." "I know, but..." Jessica glanced around, making sure other passengers were watching. "Someone probably bought this ticket for you, right?" "Your employer? Sugar daddy?" A businessman in 3A started recording. The elderly woman across the aisle whispered to her husband. Phones emerged like flowers after rain. Jessica felt the audience energy. This was her moment. "Look, honey, I've been flying for 15 years. I can spot the real first-class passengers from the fake ones." She crossed her arms, speaking louder now. "Real question is, how did someone like you afford a seat that costs more than your monthly rent?" Amara's fingers stilled on her keyboard. For a split second, something dangerous flickered in her eyes. Then it was gone. "There seems to be some confusion," she said quietly. "No confusion, sweetie. You're in the wrong seat." Jessica turned to address the cabin. "Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the delay. We're experiencing a seating issue that should be resolved shortly. The live stream had started. At Miami Traveler was broadcasting to 2,847 followers. Crazy discrimination happening on private jet right now. Flight attendant totally losing it on this young black woman." Comments poured in. "This is 2024, not 1924. Someone's about to lose their job. Call the manager. Get her name." Amara watched the phone screens multiply. She recognized the power of viral moments. In her industry, careers died in trending hashtags. But she also understood patience, timing, the art of the perfect counterattack. Her Hermes watch showed 2:43 p.m. She had a board meeting at 4 p.m., 17 minutes until scheduled departure. "I'd like to speak with your supervisor," Amara said. Jessica laughed. "Supervisor? Sweetie, I am the supervisor on this aircraft." She gestured toward the cockpit. "And if you don't like it, there's the door." That's when senior flight attendant Patricia Chen appeared, 50-something, stern-faced, with the bearing of someone who'd handled difficult passengers for decades. "What's the situation here?" Patricia asked. Jessica pointed at Amara like she was evidence. "This passenger is being non-compliant about her seating assignment. Claims she belongs in first class, but..." She shrugged eloquently. Patricia studied Amara with professional assessment. Young black woman, casual clothes, defiant posture. She'd seen this before. Entitled millennials who thought rules didn't apply to them. "Ma'am, I'm going to need to see your identification and boarding pass one more time," Patricia said firmly. Amara reached into her bag. Her movements were deliberate, controlled. She produced a pristine boarding pass and a driver's license. Patricia examined them. Everything appeared legitimate, but appearances could be deceiving. "How did you purchase this ticket?" Patricia asked. "Through the company," Amara replied. "Which company?" "Skyline Aviation." Patricia blinked. That was their parent company. But that didn't mean anything. Lots of corporations booked travel through Skyline's corporate accounts. "What's your role there?" For the first time, Amara smiled. It was a small smile, barely visible. But there was something unsettling about it. "I work in management." Jessica snorted. "Management? Sweetie, you look like you manage a McDonald's." The live stream viewer count hit 5,000. Comments exploded. "This flight attendant is unhinged." Someone record her name tag. "I'm calling Skyline customer service right now." "This woman is so calm. I love her energy." Patricia felt the situation spiraling. Social media was watching. Corporate would review this footage. She needed to de-escalate quickly. "Ma'am, I'm sure this is just a misunderstanding. If you could just get security," Jessica interrupted. "She's being disruptive." "I haven't moved from my seat," Amara pointed out. "Your attitude is disruptive." Patricia hesitated. The passenger hadn't actually done anything wrong. But Jessica was her subordinate, and backing down in front of cameras would undermine authority. "Sir," Patricia called to the ground crew supervisor who'd just boarded for final checks. "Could we get someone from security to help resolve a seating dispute?" Derek Morrison, 45, looked harried. They were already running behind schedule. He didn't need passenger drama. "What's the problem?" he asked impatiently. Jessica jumped in. "Passenger in 2A doesn't belong in first class, probably using stolen miles or a fake credit card." Derek barely glanced at Amara. Young black woman, cheap clothes, attitude problem. He'd handled dozens of these situations, people who tried to game the system, then cried discrimination when caught. "Ma'am, I'm going to ask you to gather your belongings and—" "I'd like to see your manager," Amara said calmly. Derek's jaw tightened. "I am the manager, and I'm asking you to deplane voluntarily before we make this more difficult." The phones kept recording. The viewer count kept climbing, and Amara Williams sat perfectly still, watching her employees destroy their own careers one word at a time. Her laptop remained open beside her, screen angled away from prying eyes. If anyone had looked closely, they might have noticed something interesting about her desktop. But no one was looking closely. Not yet. Not. Derek Morrison had dealt with entitled passengers before, but this one was different. She wasn't screaming or demanding to speak to corporate. She just sat there, watching him with those calm, calculating eyes. It unnerved him. "Security is on the way," he announced, loud enough for the phones to catch. "Ma'am, you have 60 seconds to gather your belongings and exit voluntarily." The live stream exploded. 8,000 viewers now, climbing fast. Comments flew past. "This is insane. She literally did nothing wrong. Get their names, get their names. Someone call the news." At Miami, Traveler was breathless with excitement. "Y'all, this is the most blatant discrimination I've ever seen live. This woman has been nothing but polite, and they're treating her like a criminal." 2 airport security officers appeared in the cabin doorway. Both white, both looking like they'd rather be anywhere else. "What's the situation?" Officer Martinez asked. Derek gestured at Amara. "Passenger refuses to comply with seating instructions. We need her removed." Officer Martinez looked confused. "What did she do?" "She's being disruptive." "How?" Derek paused. Jessica jumped in. "She's clearly in the wrong seat." "Look at her. Does she look like she belongs in first class?" A passenger in 1C couldn't stay silent anymore. "She hasn't done anything. She's been sitting there quietly this whole time. Sir, please don't interfere, Patricia snapped. The businessman in 3A stood up, still filming. I've been recording everything. This woman showed her boarding pass twice. She answered every question politely. This is racial profiling, plain and simple. Put your phone away, Derek ordered. This is a public space. I have every right to record. The elderly woman across the aisle spoke up. Young man is right. I've been watching this whole time. That poor girl hasn't done anything wrong. Jessica felt her authority slipping. The passengers were turning against her, but she'd gone too far to back down now. Listen, I've been doing this job for 15 years. I know troublemakers when I see them. She pointed at Amara's outfit. Real first-class passengers don't dress like they're going to a basketball game. The live stream chat erupted. Did she just say that? Someone get this woman fired. This is 2024, not 1950. I'm screen recording everything. Officer Martinez shifted uncomfortably. Ma'am, he said to Amara, do you have proper documentation for this seat? For the third time, Amara produced her boarding pass and ID. Officer Martinez examined them carefully. Everything looked legitimate. Her ticket's valid, he told Derek quietly. Then check if it was purchased with a stolen credit card, Jessica insisted. That's when things went from bad to nuclear. A young Latina woman in seat 4B stood up, her phone held high. Are you seriously suggesting she's a criminal just because she's black and dressed casually? That's not what I... That's exactly what you said. The businessman joined in. We all heard it. We're all recording it. Derek felt the situation spiraling beyond his control. The live stream had hit 12,000 viewers. Company policy was clear. Avoid viral incidents at all costs. Look, he said, lowering his voice. Maybe we can upgrade her to business class on the next flight, free of charge. Amara spoke for the first time in 5 minutes. I'm not taking another flight. Ma'am, we're trying to find a compromise here. There's no compromise needed. I have a valid ticket for seat 2A. I'm sitting in seat 2A. Her voice remained steady, but something had shifted. An edge that hadn't been there before. Jessica heard it too. The quiet confidence. The complete lack of fear. Most passengers in this situation would be upset, angry, defensive. This woman seemed amused. Fine, Jessica snapped. We'll settle this right now. She grabbed Amara's laptop bag and started unzipping it. Let's see what someone like you carries around. Don't touch my belongings, Amara said sharply. It's a security search. Derek backed her up, sensing Jessica's desperation. The contents spilled across the fold-down tray. MacBook Pro, iPad Pro, noise-canceling headphones, expensive skincare products, a leather portfolio with embossed initials, AW. Jessica held up a stack of business cards mockingly. Dr. Amara Williams, Chief Executive Officer. She read it aloud like a joke. CEO of what? Your nail salon? Several passengers gasped. The live stream chat went wild. She has a PhD? CEO of what company? This flight attendant is done. Plot twist incoming. Patricia examined one of the business cards. The logo looked familiar, but she couldn't place it. High-quality card stock, professional design. If it was fake, it was an expensive fake. What company? She asked. Amara's smile returned. That same small, unsettling smile. You'll figure it out. Officer Martinez was getting impatient. Ma'am, we need a straight answer. What company do you work for? The one that owns this plane. The cabin went dead silent. Derek felt something cold crawl up his spine. What did you say? I said I work for the company that owns this aircraft. Jessica laughed, but it sounded forced now. Right, and I'm the Queen of England. Amara opened her laptop. The screen came to life, facing away from the crowd. Her fingers moved across the keyboard with practiced efficiency. Jessica Martinez, she said without looking up. Employee ID 4472. Hired March 15, 2021. Salary $52,000 annually. She paused. 23 customer complaints filed in the past 18 months. Jessica's face went white. How do you... Derek Morrison, Ground Operations Manager, Miami International, Employee ID 3381, hired January 8, 2019, salary $67,000 annually. Amara's fingers kept moving. Currently on probation for 3 previous passenger complaints involving discrimination. Derek couldn't breathe. Patricia Chen, Senior Flight Attendant, Employee ID 2847, 15 years of service. Amara looked up for the first time, meeting Patricia's terrified eyes. Exemplary record until today. The live stream viewer count hit 15,000. Comments were moving too fast to read. Oh my God. Plot twist of the century. She's their boss. Someone's getting fired. Officer Martinez stepped back. He'd seen enough workplace disputes to recognize when he was in over his head. Amara closed the laptop gently. Now, she said, her voice still calm, still quiet. Shall we discuss this privately? Or would you prefer to continue this conversation in front of 15,000 viewers? Jessica's mouth moved, but no sound came out. Derek's hands shook as he reached for his radio. And Patricia Chen, 15-year veteran of corporate aviation, realized she was watching 3 careers end in real time, including her own. The silence stretched like a taut wire. 15,000 people watched through their screens as 3 Skyline Aviation employees stared at the woman they'd spent 20 minutes humiliating. Amara Williams opened her laptop again. This time, she turned the screen toward them. The Skyline Aviation corporate dashboard filled the display. Real-time stock ticker, SKLN-$347.82 per share. Company logo in the corner, identical to the one painted on the jet's tail. But that wasn't what made Derek Morrison's knees buckle. It was the executive access panel, the kind only C-suite leadership could see. Current fleet status, Amara read aloud, scrolling casually. 127 aircraft operational, 2,400 employees across 6 hubs. Annual revenue, $890 million. Her finger hovered over a tab labeled Employee Management. Shall we start with terminations? Jessica's voice came out as a whisper. You can't be. Dr. Amara Williams, the businessman in 3A breathed, suddenly recognizing her. From the Forbes 40 under 40 list, holy shit. The live stream exploded. Comments poured in faster than the eye could follow. She's the CEO. They're so fired. Best plot twist ever. Someone call the news. Amara clicked into the employee directory. Derek Morrison's profile appeared on screen. Employment status, active. His photo, hire date, salary history, performance reviews, and a bright red button labeled Terminate. Derek, she said conversationally, you mentioned I should deplane voluntarily. Interesting choice of words. Her cursor hovered over his termination button. Would you like to make the same choice about your employment? Derek's mouth opened and closed like a fish. No words came out. Patricia found her voice first. Dr. Williams, we didn't know. You didn't know because you didn't ask. Amara's tone remained calm, surgical. You saw a young black woman in casual clothes and made assumptions. She clicked to Patricia's profile. 15 years of exemplary service. Until today. The cabin had become a theater. Passengers held their breath. Phones captured every angle. The elderly woman covered her mouth in shock. Jessica finally found her voice, but it came out cracked, desperate. "Please, I have 3 kids." Amara looked at her for a long moment. "You have 3 children and you thought it was appropriate to slap someone's daughter?" The red mark on Amara's cheek had faded, but the memory burned fresh in every recording. I was just... Jessica's composure crumbled completely. "Please don't fire me. I'll do anything. I'll apologize publicly. I'll take sensitivity training." "You'll do all of those things," Amara agreed, "but not as our employee." She clicked Jessica's profile. The screen showed a history of complaints. Inappropriate comments to passengers, conflicts with colleagues, multiple warnings that had been ignored. 23 complaints in 18 months, Amara read. Verbal abuse, discriminatory language, unprofessional conduct. She looked up. "How did you keep your job this long?" Patricia's face was ashen. We tried to coach her, give her opportunities to improve." "By enabling discrimination?" Amara's finger moved to Jessica's termination button. "By allowing her to represent our company while treating passengers like criminals." The live stream had hit 20,000 viewers. News outlets were starting to pick up the feed. Number sign Skyline discrimination was trending on 3 platforms. Derek tried one last desperate play. "Dr. Williams, I think there's been a misunderstanding. We were following protocol." "Protocol?" Amara's laugh was sharp as glass. "Show me the protocol that says you search passenger belongings without cause. Show me the protocol that allows employees to make racial slurs." She opened a new window. Skyline's employee handbook appeared, searchable and highlighted. Section 3.7, Customer Service Standards. All passengers must be treated with dignity and respect regardless of race, ethnicity, appearance, or perceived socio-economic status. She looked at Derek. Section 4.2, Grounds for immediate termination. Any act of discrimination, harassment, or bias against passengers constitutes a terminable offense. Officer Martinez stepped forward. "Ma'am, we're going to need to file a report about this incident." "You absolutely will," Amara agreed. "And you'll note that I was assaulted by a company employee in front of multiple witnesses." She gestured to the phones. 20,000 witnesses, actually. She opened Jessica's employment file one more time. Performance reviews, training records, disciplinary actions, a pattern of behavior that should have led to termination months ago. "The question isn't whether you're fired," she told Jessica. "The question is whether I pursue criminal charges for assault." Jessica collapsed into an empty seat, sobbing. Patricia tried to salvage something from the wreckage. "Dr. Williams, I take full responsibility for my team's actions. If there are consequences, they should fall on me as their supervisor." "They will," Amara said simply. "But accountability doesn't eliminate consequences for the actors." The passengers watched in stunned silence. The young Latina woman who'd stood up for Amara was filming with tears in her eyes. The businessman looked like he was witnessing history. Derek made one final, pathetic attempt. What if we handled this quietly? Internal discipline, additional training, public apology. Amara's finger moved back to the termination buttons. "Derek, you've been with the company for 6 years. In that time, how many discrimination complaints have you handled?" Several." "How many resulted in employee termination?" Derek's silence was answer enough. "You've enabled a culture where passengers are treated like criminals based on their appearance, where employees feel comfortable making racial slurs, where assault is dismissed as disruption." Her voice never rose above conversation level, but it carried the weight of absolute authority. That culture ends today. She clicked Jessica Martinez's termination button. The screen flashed. Employment terminated. Effective immediately. Derek Morrison's button was next. Same result. Patricia Chen stared at her own profile, knowing what was coming. But Amara surprised her. Patricia, your record shows 15 years of professional service. One complaint in all that time, filed today. She looked at the older woman directly. You have a choice. The cabin held its breath. What kind of choice? Patricia whispered. Amara's fingers danced across her laptop. Patricia Chen's employee file filled the screen. 15 years of service. One complaint, filed today. You can walk away with full benefits and a clean reference. Amara's voice was surgical calm. Or you can stay and watch me burn this entire system to the ground. The live stream exploded. 25,000 viewers and climbing. Patricia's hands trembled. What do you mean? Instead of answering, Amara opened Skyline's financial dashboard. Numbers blazed across the screen in angry red. Customer satisfaction, 73%, down 12% this quarter. Legal settlements, $1.2 million last quarter alone. Discrimination complaints, 47 in 6 months. We're hemorrhaging money because of people like Jessica. Amara turned to Derek, who stood frozen like a deer in headlights. Derek, remind everyone how much we spent on legal fees last quarter. Derek's voice cracked. $340,000. $340,000. Amara let that sink in. To defend the indefensible, she clicked on Jessica's personnel file. The complaint history scrolled down like a rap sheet. March 2023. Racial comments about passenger's accent. June 2023. Questioned black passenger's ticket validity. September 2023. Called passengers those people to colleagues. December 2023. Refused service, cited attitude problems. 23 complaints, Amara said. 23 times passengers felt unwelcome on our aircraft. Her eyes locked on Patricia. How many terminations? Patricia's voice was barely audible. None. None. Amara's repetition hit like a hammer. We documented every incident, filed every report, and did absolutely nothing. The businessman in 3A leaned forward, recognition dawning. You're cleaning house. I'm performing surgery. Amara opened Derek's management dashboard. The numbers were devastating. Staff turnover, 34%. Industry average, 18%. Workplace harassment reports, 15 in 2 years. Customer complaints under his oversight, 127. Derek, you've created a culture where discrimination thrives. She scrolled through exit interviews. Listen to what our own employees said about working under you. She read aloud. Management ignores discrimination complaints. Leadership protects bad employees over good passengers. Speaking up about racism gets you labeled a troublemaker. Derek tried to interrupt. Those are isolated. 34% staff turnover isn't isolated, Derek. It's systematic failure. Amara's finger hovered over his termination button. You're done. Security will escort you out. The cabin held its breath as she clicked. Employment terminated flashed on screen. Derek stumbled backward. 15 years of management gone in one click. Officer Martinez stepped forward. Dr. Williams about the assault charges. Amara opened her phone's voice recorder. For the record, at 2:35 p.m. today, Jessica Martinez struck me without provocation. 12 witnesses, multiple recordings, clear assault. She looked at Jessica, still sobbing in her seat. Jessica, do you dispute this? Butte? Jessica shook her head, tears streaming. Criminal charges will be filed within 24 hours. Skyline will not provide legal defense for employees who assault passengers. The live stream chat went insane. Criminal charges. She's not playing. Consequences have arrived. Jessica looked up desperately. Please, I have 3 kids. You have 3 children, Amara repeated coldly. And you chose to teach them that violence solves problems, that discrimination is acceptable. What kind of mother does that make you? The words hit Jessica like physical blows. Amara turned back to her laptop. But this isn't just about you, Jessica. This is about a company culture that enabled you. She pulled up Skyline's training records. Jessica's file showed sensitivity training, completed 4 times harassment prevention, completed 3 times customer service excellence, completed 2 times 9 training sessions, Amara announced. How many chances does someone get before you admit they're unsuited for customer service? Patricia found her voice. We thought we could coach her. You thought wrong. Amara's response was instant. You enabled her. Every ignored complaint, every dismissed concern, every time you chose comfort over courage. She opened a new screen. Skyline's public statement, already drafted. In 30 minutes, this statement goes live on our website. Full transparency, names, actions, consequences. She gestured to the phone's recording. 25,000 people watched this happen. Millions more will see the clips. The elderly woman in 1B gasped. You're making this public? I'm making this right. Amara's voice carried absolute authority. We can hide behind lawyers and PR spin, or we can own our mistakes and prove we've changed. She opened a budget allocation screen. $2.8 million approved for immediate reforms. New policies launch Monday. Zero tolerance means zero tolerance. First discrimination complaint triggers review. Second complaint triggers termination. No warnings, no coaching, no excuses. Patricia's eyes widened as the scope became clear. AI monitoring system goes live next month. Every passenger interaction analyzed for bias. Anonymous reporting app launches Tuesday. Monthly sensitivity training becomes permanent requirement. The cabin was dead silent except for the hum of recording phones. Amara turned to Patricia one final time. The choice hung between them like a loaded gun. 15 years of clean service until today, she said. You can walk away and preserve that record, or you can stay and help me rebuild this company's soul. Patricia looked at Jessica, broken and sobbing. At Derek, security guards flanking him. At the passengers, their phones capturing everything. If I stay, Patricia asked slowly, what happens to employees who report discrimination? They get promoted. Amara's answer was immediate. Speaking truth becomes a job requirement, not a career risk. Patricia straightened her shoulders. 15 years of watching problems get buried. 15 years of protecting the wrong people. Then I stay. The live stream erupted. Redemption arc. Plot twist again. Someone chose courage. Amara nodded once. Good. Because in 10 minutes, you're going to help me call every employee in this company and explain how everything just changed. Jessica looked up through her tears. What about me? Amara's expression remained stone cold. What about you? My children. How do I explain this to my children? For the first time, Amara's voice carried something other than ice. You tell them their mother learned that actions have consequences, that hurting people has a price, and that maybe, just maybe, they can be better than you were today. Jessica collapsed back into her seat, the weight of her choices crushing her completely. And Patricia Chen, 15-year veteran of corporate aviation, realized she was about to become part of the most important conversation in her company's history. Derek Morrison walked off the aircraft in handcuffs. Not literal handcuffs, but security guards flanked him like he was a criminal. 15 years of management stripped away in 60 seconds. His company badge clattered to the floor as they pushed him through the cabin door. Jessica Martinez hadn't moved from seat 4A in 10 minutes. Mascara streaked her face like war paint after a lost battle. Patricia Chen stood frozen beside Amara, watching her world reshape itself. Patricia. Amara's voice cut through the silence. Call Atlanta. Tell your regional director to get on video. Now. Patricia's hands shook as she dialed. But what do I say? Tell him his CEO wants to have a conversation. The video call connected in 30 seconds. Regional Director Williams appeared on Amara's laptop screen. No relation, despite the shared name. His face was already pale. Dr. Williams, he stammered. I just heard about the incident. You heard about the assault, you mean? Amara turned the laptop so he could see Jessica, still crying. Your employee struck me, in front of 12 witnesses, on live stream to 35,000 viewers. Williams' face went white as paper. Here's what's going to happen, Williams. Amara's tone was surgical. Every manager, every supervisor, every person with authority in this company gets the same message. No exceptions. She pulled up Jessica's complaint file, sharing her screen. 23 discrimination complaints in 18 months. 23 times passengers felt unwelcome because of this employee's behavior. Her voice never rose above conversation level, but it carried the weight of absolute authority. How many terminations resulted from these complaints? Williams' voice cracked. We followed progressive discipline protocols. Progressive discipline? Amara laughed, but there was no humor in it. You progressively enabled racism. You progressively normalized assault. You progressively destroyed our reputation one complaint at a time. The live stream chat exploded. Drag him. Accountability time. No more excuses. Williams tried to recover. Dr. Williams, if we could discuss this privately. 35,000 people are watching this conversation. Millions more will see the clips. Amara gestured to the phones still recording. Privacy is what got us into this mess. Transparency is how we get out. She opened a new document, typing in real time as Williams watched. Skyline Aviation. Emergency reforms, effective immediately. Williams's jaw dropped as she typed, Zero tolerance means zero tolerance. First discrimination complaint equals immediate termination review. Anonymous reporting app launches this week. Manager bonuses tied to inclusion metrics, $50,000, whistleblower rewards. You can't implement this overnight, Williams protested. Union contracts, employment law. Watch me. Amara's fingers flew across the keyboard. Legal has already approved everything. HR is sending guidelines to every hub within the hour. She turned to Patricia. Patricia, you're now Director of Inclusion Implementation. $50,000 salary increase effective immediately. Patricia's eyes widened. What? You chose courage over comfort. You get rewarded. Amara typed Patricia's promotion into the system, live on screen. Your first job, identify every manager who's ignored discrimination complaints. Williams looked sick. Dr. Williams, this is moving too fast. Too fast? Amara's voice turned icy. Passengers have been dealing with discrimination for years. Employees have been suffering in silence for years. The only thing moving too fast is your excuses. She opened her email, showing the screen to Williams and the live stream. 47 new messages in the past hour, all from employees. She clicked on one. I'm a black pilot with Skyline. A flight attendant questioned if I was really the captain, in front of passengers. I didn't report it because nothing ever happens to flight attendants who do this. After watching today, I want to file a complaint. Williams's face crumbled as she read more. Hispanic gate agent here. Passengers regularly ask for someone who speaks English. My supervisor tells me to deal with it. I have a master's degree and speak 3 languages. Gay flight attendant. Jessica Martinez called me a slur last month. Told management. They said she was having a bad day. This is what your progressive discipline created, Amara said quietly. A company where good employees suffer and bad employees thrive. Jessica finally looked up from her seat. Dr. Williams, my children. Your children will learn that actions have consequences, that hurting people costs something, that their mother finally had to face the truth about who she chose to be. The words hit Jessica like physical blows. Williams tried one last desperate play. Dr. Williams, if we could phase these changes in gradually. Williams. Amara's voice was deadly calm. Are you questioning my direct orders? Williams went silent. Because if you are, I can promote someone who won't question them. No, ma'am, no questions. Good. Amara opened the company org chart. Because I'm about to tell you something that will change how you see every decision you've made for the past 5 years. She pulled up Skyline's financial data. Customer satisfaction scores, legal settlement costs, employee turnover rates. We've lost $3.2 million in the past year because of discrimination incidents. Not just settlements, lost customers, bad publicity, employee turnover. She highlighted the numbers. Your hub has the highest complaint rate in the company. Williams looked like he was about to vomit. But here's the interesting part, Amara continued. In the 30 minutes since this live stream started, we've received over 200 supportive messages. Passengers saying they'll choose Skyline because we finally took action. She showed the screen. Emails, tweets, social media posts flooding in. Finally, an airline with real accountability. Booking my next trip with Skyline right now. This is how you handle discrimination. Immediate consequences. Doing the right thing, Amara said, is also good business. Patricia watched her new boss masterfully turn a crisis into transformation. 15 years of buried complaints, swept under the rug incidents, and progressive discipline that progressively made everything worse, all of it being dismantled in real time. Williams, Amara said, I want every hub director on a call in 2 hours. Every manager who's ignored discrimination complaints gets one chance to explain why they should keep their job. Williams nodded frantically. And Williams? If you ever use the phrase progressive discipline again when discussing discrimination, you'll be joining Derek in the unemployment line. She ended the call without another word. The cabin erupted in applause. Passengers stood up cheering. The businessman in 3A wiped tears from his eyes. Officer Martinez stepped forward with his completed report. Dr. Williams, assault charges have been filed. Miss Martinez will need to appear in court within 10 days. Jessica looked up one final time. Will you tell the court that I apologized? Amara met her eyes directly. No, because an apology after you get caught isn't an apology. It's damage control. The truth of those words settled over the cabin like a blanket. Patricia looked at her new boss, her new title, her new purpose. For 15 years, she'd watched problems get buried. Now someone was finally digging them all up. Ready to change everything? Amara asked. Patricia straightened her shoulders. Yes, ma'am. Let's bury the old Skyline and build something better. 6 months later, Jessica Martinez's assault conviction made national news. Not because of the sentence, 30 days community service, anger management classes, $2,500 fine. But because of what happened next. The viral video had 12 million views. Number sign Skyline. Accountability became a case study in business schools. Harvard, Wharton, Stanford, all teaching future executives how doctor. Amara Williams turned a moment of discrimination into industry-wide transformation. Jessica's children did ask questions. Hard questions about why Mommy lost her job, why she had to go to court, why strangers on the internet knew their family's business. She told them the truth, that she hurt someone because of their skin color, that she lost control and hit another person, that actions have consequences and some consequences last forever. Her oldest daughter, 11 years old, asked the question that broke her. Mommy, are you a racist? Jessica looked in the mirror that night and finally answered honestly. I was, but I'm learning to be better. She got a job at a community center in Tampa. Minimum wage, cleaning bathrooms, serving lunch to homeless families. Many of them were Black, Hispanic, immigrants, people she'd spent years looking down on. It was humbling work, necessary work. Derek Morrison took a different path. He hired a lawyer, tried to sue for wrongful termination. The case was dismissed in 3 weeks. 27 discrimination complaints under his management, 12 settled lawsuits, a 34% staff turnover rate. No jury would side with that record. He moved to Jacksonville, took a job managing a small freight company. Lower pay, smaller title, but no live streams, no viral videos, no accountability beyond a handful of coworkers who didn't know his history. Some nights he still watched the video, still saw himself stammering on camera, making excuses, protecting the wrong people for the wrong reasons. He never applied for another management position. Patricia Chen became Skyline's Chief Diversity Officer 18 months after that day. The promotion came with a corner office in Atlanta, a 6-figure salary, and the authority to fire any employee who discriminated against passengers. She used that authority 17 times in her first year. The anonymous reporting app Patricia helped design received over 3,000 reports in its first 6 months. Discrimination incidents dropped 89%. Customer satisfaction jumped to 94%, the highest in Skyline's history. But the real measure of success came from employee surveys. For the first time in company history, 97% of staff said they felt safe reporting workplace discrimination. The culture had changed. Fear had been replaced by accountability. Silence had been replaced by courage. Patricia kept a framed photo on her desk. The moment she chose to stay and help rebuild rather than walk away and hide. The moment she found her voice after 15 years of watching problems get buried. Dr. Amara Williams never gave interviews about the incident, never wrote a book, never did a TED Talk, never monetized her viral moment. When reporters asked why, her answer was simple: the work speaks for itself. And the work did speak. Skyline Aviation became the most diverse airline in America. Employee retention hit industry highs, customer loyalty soared, stock price doubled in 2 years. Other airlines copied Skyline's policies. The AI bias detection system became industry standard. Anonymous reporting apps spread across corporate America. What started with one slap on one airplane became a blueprint for accountability everywhere. The touching stories kept coming. Real-life stories of employees finding courage to speak up. Black stories of passengers feeling welcome for the first time. Life stories of families taking their first flights without fear of discrimination. A young Black girl from Chicago wrote to Dr. Williams, "My mom was scared to fly with me because she thought people would be mean to us. After watching your video, she bought us tickets to visit my grandma. Thank you for making it safe to travel while Black." A Hispanic father from Texas. "My son wants to be a pilot now. He saw your video and said, 'If that lady can change a whole company, I can fly planes.' Dreams matter. Thank you for showing him that respect is possible." These were the stories that mattered. Not the viral fame, not the business case studies, not the stock prices. The individual lives changed because someone finally said enough and backed it up with action. The video still plays on repeat in Skyline's training centers. New employees watch Dr. Williams maintain perfect calm while being humiliated. They see Patricia choose courage over comfort. They witness accountability happening in real time. It's required viewing for every manager, every supervisor, every person with authority over others. The message is clear. Discrimination will not be tolerated, excuses will not be accepted, and consequences will be immediate. But perhaps the most powerful moment in that video isn't the termination buttons being clicked or the criminal charges being filed. It's the quiet dignity of a woman who could have responded with anger, with lawsuits, with public relations warfare. Instead, she chose transformation. She turned a moment of personal humiliation into systematic change that protected thousands of future passengers. That's the definition of quiet power. Not the loudest voice in the room, but the most effective action when action matters most. The passengers from that day still tell the story. The businessman from 3A speaks at diversity conferences. The elderly woman wrote a letter to her local newspaper. The young Latina who stood up for Dr. Williams became an activist for airline passenger rights. They all say the same thing. They witnessed history. Not just a viral moment, but the exact moment when tolerance for intolerance ended. When institutions chose accountability over comfort. When leadership meant leading, not following. When doing the right thing became more important than avoiding difficult conversations. These are the Black stories that need telling. The real-life stories that prove change is possible. The touching stories of individuals standing up when it matters most. The life stories that inspire others to find their own voices when they witness injustice. Your voice matters too. Maybe you've been discriminated against and stayed silent because you thought nothing would happen. Your story deserves to be heard. Maybe you've witnessed discrimination and looked away because speaking up seemed too risky. Your courage could protect someone else. Maybe you're in a position of authority, and you've been avoiding difficult conversations about bias in your workplace. Your leadership could transform someone's entire experience. Dr. Amara Williams didn't plan to become a symbol of accountability that Tuesday afternoon. She was just a CEO trying to get to a board meeting. But when the moment came, she was ready. She had the position, the preparation, and the courage to turn personal humiliation into systemic change. The question isn't whether you'll face a moment like this. The question is whether you'll be ready when your moment comes. Will you stay silent or speak up? Will you look away or lean in? Will you choose comfort or courage? The passengers, employees, and families whose lives were changed by one woman's quiet power are counting on your answer. Share this story if you believe accountability matters. Comment below with your own experiences of discrimination or standing up against bias. Subscribe for more real-life stories of people who chose courage over comfort. Because these stories matter. Your story matters. And together, we can make sure that dignity, respect, and justice aren't just ideals we hope for, but realities we create through our actions. The flight attendant slapped a CEO and thought she had all the power. 10 minutes later, she learned what real power looks like. Now it's your turn to use yours.